Hello everyone, my name is Helena Pipová and I'm a last year Ph.D. student in clinical psychology at Palacký University Olomouc, the Czech Republic. Currently as a doctoral research assistant at Wirth Institute, the University of Alberta. In this episode of Central European Talk, I will focus on my dissertation research topic, which is the relationship to food, especially food addiction and connected topics as obesity and weight stigma. The other day, I was walking with another doctoral student from campus and telling her about the plastic surgery culture in Latin America and South Korea. Then I asked her what she would change on her body if she could get any surgery. She pointed out her ears. Then she asked me. I, inspired by K-pop stars, thought about the gap between tights, and she was like, yes, I also would like to get that one. And she said, I think that it is very hard to actually have this gap, and only really skinny girls have it. So if everyone would like to have this surgery, why it is not considered normal? And it rang the bell in my head. Exactly, why are we following the ideal body image, which is not realistic? Why are we blaming people with obesity for being fat, although approximately every second person is overweight or obese? Why every girl, and absolutely not only girl, but almost every boy, has to get through some tough, painful process of not liking their body or even hating them? The answer is slim body cult, extreme focus on appearance in our culture, and the influence of media. For example, did you know that in the real world, every fourth woman is obese? On the screen, it is only 3 out of 100 women. We live in a world where food consumption is hard to control because of media, food advertisements, affordable food on every corner. There is an enormous offer of ultra-processed food containing sugar, fat, salt. In my opinion, it is one of the hardest quests which we have to fight in our lives. To be happy as we are, accept our bodies, and build a healthy relationship with food. And I want to emphasize that problematic relationship to food is not only the problem of people with overweight or obesity. We often have no idea what slim people have to go through to actually be slim. Also, it is very hard to actually define a healthy relationship to food. For some, it can be a good routine in eating, not being preoccupied with thoughts about food, being capable of eating more food just because it is fresh or it tastes good, and not having any remorses afterwards. Or the capability of naturally making healthy choices in food. It can be also enjoying food and not perceiving it just as calories, which jeopardizes our bodies. Obesity is a multifactorial disease. So often, for everyone, it is a specific combination of, for example, these factors. Some of them are another medical diseases which contribute to development of obesity. For someone, it can be genes or using medication. However, most people think in the first place about the negative psychological features and traits connected to willpower as the reasons for one's obesity. People who believe that obesity is beyond the control of those obese persons have a more positive attitude than those who believe that the obese person can actually control the obesity. Now, I would like to introduce you another potential big cause of obesity. All the previously mentioned reasons are definitely valid. However, what if I told you that people can be as addicted to food as they can be addicted to any other substances, and that breaking that cycle can be as hard as fighting addiction? And that most of those people struggling with this problem still think that it is enough just to start eating less or reach out for any diet. But they are not actually capable of eating less, especially some types of foods. Food is the primary reward, and it appears to affect neurobiological circuits, the reward system, in the same way as, for example, alcohol or psychoactive substances. One of the symptoms of food addiction is craving, which is a very intense desire to eat something, whether generally to eat or craving for specific foods. There was research conducted on laboratory mice. The mice which were fed by grain didn't change their behavior. However, those which were fed by sugar changed significantly. They lost interest in anything else than the food. They had withdrawal symptoms. I also want to point out that not everyone who is obese is also food addicted. As I mentioned, obesity is a multifactorial disease, and food addiction is just one of the potential causes. Around 40% of overweight or obese people show actually the symptoms of food addiction. It is important to research food addiction because of its role in the obesity pandemic. In 73 countries, the prevalence of obesity was doubled. In another increased, and not in any single country, the obesity prevalence decreased in last years. Which is a huge paradox, considering how much energy and money we spend on dealing with obesity and losing weight. And yet, still in the USA, 80% of adults and 1/3 of children are overweight or obese. What about you and your relationship to diets or weight? I would like to ask you this personal question. Is there someone who hasn't tried any diet? Never? Or is there someone who hasn't tried anything to lose weight in the last year or even month? And if you tried any type of intervention, I have another question. Did it work? And if yes, did the loss of weight maintained for a long time, or did you gain the weight back? 95 to 98% of attempts to lose weight fail, and 2/3 of people gain back even more than what they lost. It is because any extreme solution cannot fool our bodies for a longer time, so the diets just don't work. Most of the people trying diets end up in gradual weight gain. Nearly half of 3 to 6 years old girls say that they worry about being fat. And half of high school girls, 1/3 of boys, report trying to lose weight using diet pills, laxatives, vomiting, fasting, and then actually binge eating. Dieting doesn't help to fight obesity pandemic. Obesity is mostly spoken in connection with its negative impact on health, also its negative impact on economic, because it's so expensive to cost to treat obesity, or its negative impact on work productivity. However, living in an obese body has a huge psychological impact. One of them is stigma connected to obesity. Weight stigma is a stigmatization based on someone's weight and leads to prejudices, stereotypes, anti-fat attitudes, anti-fat biases, sexism, fat phobia, or body shaming. More than 40% of Americans classified as obese say that they experience stigma on a daily basis. Fat phobia is one of the last acceptable prejudices. In the USA, all 3 types of obese people experience significantly higher levels of mistreatment, harassment in comparison to normal weight people. Now, try to think about 3 sources of stigmatization based on someone's weight or body. The most common source of stigmatization are family members. Then also doctors, classmates, merchants, and coworkers. Family environment biases can be depicted by mocking nicknames, which are coming from parents or spouses. Doctors have shorter appointments with larger patients and show lower emotional rapport with them. Also, they often just assume that obese person doesn't eat healthily and overeats and doesn't exercise. Without actually asking them, they just often perceive them as if they were responsible for their weight because of their character defect or because of their eating. In a study that recorded 461 interactions with doctors, only 13% of patients got any specific plan for diet or exercise, and only 5% got help to arrange a follow-up visit. Adolescents' anti-fat behavior toward obese peers contains making fun of them, creating offensive nicknames, ignoring, not engaging in social activities, creating false information about them, or harassing them in physical activities. Weight is the number 1 reason children are bullied at school. In the group of adolescents, overweight or obese peers were the most bullied. 63% of girls and 58% of boys who are overweight or obese experience mocking from their peers. The stigmatization doesn't come only from the peers. High school and university students with obesity received worse grades than their normal weight counterparts with respect to intelligence, socioeconomic status, or relationship to school. Another source of stigmatization is the work environment. Larger Americans, especially women, less likely to be hired and promoted. 89% of obese adults had been bullied by their romantic partners. Obese people are, even by obese people, often described as slowly, undisciplined, or lazy. Weight stigma is considered to be more harmful than actually being overweight, and it has enormous negative effect on mental health. Obese or overweight people, they often report that after they were screamed at or they received any comments about their weight or body, they actually even ate more. Weight bias internalization describes what happens if the weight bias is by the overweight or obese person accepted. It causes a decrease in life quality and increases psychopathology, as lower self-esteem or more depression. Now I would like to summarize the practical implications of what I was talking about today. Individuality. Realizing the individuality and complexity of each person's relationship to food, exercise, and body image is the first step in treatment. This is also why any general diet cannot work. In the treatment of obesity and eating pathologies is also very important multidisciplinarity, and cooperation of many professions is necessary. I'm talking about psychiatrists and other medical doctors, psychologists, or nutrition therapists. When it comes to psychotherapy, it is very important to build the rapport with the patient and to set the goals. Don't wait to start dating, applying for a job, trying a new activity after you lose weight. Just be kind to yourself as you would be to your friend, and try to deal with the critical voice in your head. Try to love yourself right now and enjoy the food right now. It is also important to take focus away from the weight and body shape and begin to realize that we are more than just our bodies. We are our minds, our spirits, and our social interactions. People often believe that shaming fat people is the way to motivate them to lose weight, but actually the opposite happens. People with obesity often have very strong willpower and they don't stop trying. The only thing which works is patience with yourself and your body, and healthy approach to food and a change of mindset. Thank you for watching this episode of Central European Talk. Thank you for Wirth Institute for making that possible. And there is our email. You can send us any questions or comments, and I'm looking forward for your reactions and potential discussions.